And joining us now to discuss this further is Ina Changan. He is a senior fellow at Taihe Institute and the chairman of Asian Narratives. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerald.
So, I want to start, Ina, by getting your impressions of how you think this case is going, based on the arguments, how the court might be leaning.
Well, the court was fairly harsh on both sides. Obviously, this is a free speech versus security issue. But what's interesting about it is there was no evidence provided that TikTok has done anything or shared information or anything. It's all about it could do that. And it seems very selective. I mean, TikTok actually gathers less information than Facebook and Google and Meta and all the rest of them. So, there's a lot of questions about it. But there's no question that half of Americans, 170 million people, use it. And they extended the arguments to 2 hours when it was originally scheduled for 1. So it's definitely weighing on the court.
I like how you say that, it's fairly selective, because TikTok's lawyers argue that the app is being unfairly singled out. What do you think?
Well, of course, but I mean, the U.S. government is saying, well, it's foreign, therefore we can do anything we want, and people are reacting to that and say, wait a second, these all of our, whether it's Facebook, X, or whatever, they're international. What if the same arguments are used there? Well, it's owned by Americans, therefore we should ban it. And there are cases. There are a lot of things. Obviously, within China, a lot of social media is in fact banned.
Earlier you mentioned that more than half the American population use TikTok. And of course, some, in fact many, make their living off this. And what we have now is this creator economy. What is the US market worth to TikTok? And what is the overall financial impact of shutting down TikTok?
Well, it cost people tens of millions of dollars, hundreds of millions, I should say. There are so many people who have used it, as you pointed out, as the basis of their income. Some it's side hustle, others it is how they earn their living. Now, they can migrate to other platforms, things like that. In fact, many of them are hedging their bets by including there. But, the issue is, should the government be coming in and doing this? There's always these issues that the U.S. sometimes, often accuses others of doing exactly what it's doing. I mean, the U.S. broadcasts propaganda on a very regular basis, Radio Free America, Europe, etc. And it's just kind of seen as hypocritical. And this whole idea that somebody could do something, well, it's known that sometimes men don't like their mother-in-laws, but you can't arrest somebody and say, I'm going to take away your livelihood, because you could attack your mother-in-law.
Along those same lines of hypocrisy, both Donald Trump and Joe Biden have tried to shut down TikTok, but then have done an about face because they've embraced the app in trying to reach they're a much younger voter base. I mean, how do you see all of that?
Well, Gerald, hypocrisy in politics, there's just no division. I mean, anything that works for me is fine. The idea that I'm trying to ban something I'm using is kind of humorous, to say the least. But, politics will weigh in. Donald Trump, if he is in fact the next president, has said he doesn't want to ban it. He thinks it's very useful. Given that the president of the United States will be known before this final decision, it could affect how it goes forward.
I'd like to widen this out, though, because, even though this case is centered in the United States, what is the global ripple effect, though, if TikTok indeed goes offline here?
Well, I mean, it kind of dents this idea that the U.S. has said that freedom of speech is very important. They're basically saying we have no proof there's any bad dealings. We just don't like it because it could be a security threat. Well, if everybody adopts that, you're going to see curtailment of the internet, very severe. If it's not mine, therefore it's suspicious, therefore I'm going to ban it. This is not the direction you want when the world needs more sharing. They need more understanding. Scientists need to compare and look at the ideas that they're putting together. Climate change, so many issues, health. You're not going to get the advancements if everyone is siloed in terms of their own information.
I know this case has dragged on now for so long. Do you think we might have a definitive resolution soon?
No, it'll end up in the Supreme Court regardless of what happens. Courts in America have generally shied away from getting involved in anything that says security. And the reason is because they say, well, that's not the judiciary's job. We're supposed to, call, as John Roberts has said, balls and strikes. And this kind of gets into the area of policy. But there are property issues involved here. Ordinary Americans are going to be affected. And, should a very broad law that's very selective be used to, in essence, damage American consumer and business interests?